All right. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for stopping by this week. We are going to do something different. Um, Crush is away this week. I will not be here next week, so there will not be a stream. But we are going to do a full mock draft for each team. Um, so we will walk you all the way through each and every round for every team. There's going to be some bleed over here, I'm sure, between players that I tend to like, especially in the later rounds, as we start seeing some talent getting picked off the board. Um, but we're just going to do this as a little bit of a thought exercise. It's something different than really anything that I've done before. It'll be interesting to see past the second round as you get into the third and beyond what's going to be there. Um, Obviously, I am not going to do this myself for every single team and pick every single player. It is going to be simulated with the PFF simulator for all the teams' picks that are not my own. Again, just to show you what that looks like, we'll kick things off with the Raiders, um, who have 9 picks, I think. Um, Give me 1 second, real quick. I'm sorry. Anyway, so again, just to kick this off here, we'll start with the Raiders. Number one is going to be Mendoza, and this is what we're going to be looking at. So, with the first pick in the second round, we could give them their Christian Wilkins replacement. With Caleb Banks, we could go Lee Hunter, which I like for them a good amount. We could take a look at wide receiver as well. I will be utilizing our lads for the depth charts. Raiders still could use a lot, man. I mean, we've talked about this week in and week out. I like tackle for them. Let's see if there's a... There isn't a right tackle I love. I think Lomu could play a whole bunch of different positions. I don't know that I love him at right tackle. I do think he could slide inside, which I wouldn't hate, replacing Spencer Burford. Defensively, they could still use some help there as well. Yeah, I think I like the idea of taking a DT here. These two guys, Tyree Wilson, I think is fine in his role. Hopefully, with the new coaching staff, maybe he'll be able to take a step this year. But Caleb Banks is risky. You're relying on a lot of athletic upside and coaching. Lee Hunter, I think, is a probably more complete player as of right now. There's a lot of tape where Caleb Banks just dominates, and there's a lot of tape where Caleb Banks gets dominated. When you combine that with the fact that he is a 330-pound, 6'6" individual with a foot fracture, it makes things tough, I think, to take him there. So Lee Hunter is almost 24. Banks is 23. So Banks is a little bit younger. And I think I'm going to take Banks. He has upside where he was projected somewhere in the 20-ish range and didn't wind up going there because of the injury, obviously. I think that we kind of... Looking at the Raiders, they are not going to compete this year, I don't think. I think they might look better this year than they have in years past. They have some of the pieces in place. You can take some of these risks in the second round and beyond on a guy with huge athletic upside that you have faith in long term. So that's what I'm going to do. I like linebacker for them. I know that they just signed Kobe Dean and Quay Walker. I still feel like there is a need there. Frankly, I could dip back into the DT well. Big Orange would be awesome in the center with Banks playing this role. I don't think safety is completely off the table. Wide receiver they could use. Let's see if there's a wide receiver that I like. I do like Antonio Williams. Actually, he would play slot for them over Jalen Naylor, which I think I like a decent amount. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the direction that I lean. In the fourth, Corleone, actually, I would like a decent amount. It would slide Banks into the middle and give him the ability to play on the outside. That's what I'm going to wind up doing. Play more 3-tech instead of nose. And at this point, you know, it's really just you're drafting for what you can find. Cage Casey, I like a decent amount. I think that he could probably slide over and play right tackle. Colton Miller's been great at left, but he's getting up there in age, I believe. Yeah, he's 30, which isn't super old, especially for offensive line. Cornerback, too, I could see being a desire. I don't think that Eric Stokes is the best player in the world. I like Darian Porter a heck of a lot. Teron Johnson is solid, very good nickel. But I think that Stokes is upgradable. And Porter, obviously relying on to take a step. So this is, again, a range where I could take a guy like Attack Davis, and I wouldn't hate that. Number one, I think he could slide back and play safety. 6'4", 200. So I do think that is on the table. What I think I'm going to wind up doing is probably sticking with Casey. I do also like Brian Parker from Duke, and I know he could play right tackle. Actually, I'm flipping that. I'm going to take Brian Parker for them to play right tackle this year. Getting that in the fourth round is a good value. They really don't have anything after Genty, and we're in that range where I could consider that now. Again, we've already gone with some of the bigger positions of need here. I know that you're saying, oh, 2 DTs in the first, or 2 D linemen in the first 4 picks is a lot. They need it. Let's see, what else are we looking at here? I wouldn't hate going back to another one. I wouldn't hate giving them Torian York. Emmett Johnson could be interesting. He plays a different style, I think, a little bit than what Genty does, even though he is bigger. I mean, Singleton, if you want to get big, I wouldn't hate that. Max Llewellyn, I actually like a good amount. Edge rusher. He had a really good 2024. They don't necessarily need that with Kwity Paye. But behind Crosby, you have Malcolm Koonce. You really don't have anything on the other side. Charles Snowden, Brandon Jackson. Yeah, that's the direction I think I'm leaning here. I'm going to give him Max Llewellyn for the 3rd, 4th round pick. Jalen Stroman, I do like a good amount. I want to keep that running back on the table. 6'1", 201, Michael Taffy, 6 foot. I think it's a toss-up for me between those two, where I would want to go for the Raiders. Cole Wisniewski's a fun guy, 6'4", 220. I think he missed all 2024 with an injury, but I mean he's fun on tape. Lorenzo Styles, Sonny Styles' brother. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give him Michael Taffy here. And then they're up not that much later because they have a very late 5th into 2/6. at this point, you're looking for special teamers. You're looking for depth. You're looking for all that kind of stuff. Skylar Gill Howard, I think, is good. Oscar Delp here would be fun. I'm gonna give him Harold Perkins here, and then I still like the idea of a running back. Let me see if there's one here. Robert Henry. Just the same player as Genty, basically. A little bit less hype, obviously. A lot less hype, actually. But, I can't be more than most. I think I can wait on that. Let me see if there is... I do like Encobia. It's tough for me because I feel like there's a world that they could move off of Michael Mayer at some point. I mean, he still has value. I know that he's the blocking guy in that system, and Bowers is your receiving threat. I still think there's a world. Let's see if there's another wide receiver that I like. There's guys. I don't love any of them that much. Styles could be a fun special teams guy. He's fast. I could see him being a good gunner. And Wachovia had kind of a down year this year, but 2 good years before that. Michael Taffy. I'm going to give him Styles. Again, I'm taking this as a special teams type of guy. And then with this last pick, I'm going to wind up going with one of the running backs available. And I think I'm going to do... Jamal Haynes could be fun for that too. There's a whole bunch of guys towards the back half of the running back class. Basically, just pick your poison. I'm going to give him Hemby. I like Hemby a lot. Also, reunites with Mendoza. And that's that. Throughout the course of the night, we'll see what we get as our grades. They really don't like Harold Perkins, but I'll take an A-. Solid. Next one, we're going to do the Jets. Jets have 4 picks in the top 50, and then 5 more picks for the rest of the draft. Obviously, Mendoza goes at 1. I'm giving them Bane. And I know that Arvil Reese has been basically chalk here for a lot of people. I am not buying in. I think that Bane is a very Aaron Glenn type of player, so that's what I'm going to do. Vega would be awesome, but you need cornerback to replace the loss of Sauce Gardner. There are holes throughout this offense. I do think that left guard is one of them, which is why I'm considering Vega. I think that cornerback is a bigger one with Brandon Stevens and Nashawn Wright. So I am going to lock in Jermon McCoy. With this next pick, I think I'm leaning wide receiver. KC, I think would be a good fit in that offense. Isaiah Williams can't be one of your starting wide receivers. I don't like that. Is there an edge guy? I wouldn't hate Zion Young. I don't know if they need to go edge, but I think that it would help if they did at some point. Yeah, I'm going to give him KC. It's something different than I think what we've typically been doing. I could see him going in the first round. Obviously, the first pick of the second round is basically the same thing. Jacob Rodriguez is going to be a guy that you probably see me take a lot tonight. And that's because I think he's going to be here a lot in the second round, and there's a lot of teams that I think could use him. It's going to be like that with a couple guys, and I know that's part of why we don't usually do this, because you like to see realistic scenarios playing out, and obviously Jacob Rodriguez can't be taken by 6 different teams. So at what point do you stop doing it? You know, it puts you in a weird spot, but also it's hard for me to not do it. Having already given them Bane, I guess that's another point. I forgot that they'd already taken Bane when I was talking about Zion Young. That makes no sense for them. Linebacker, I think, is a huge need. This top 4 here, obviously no trades today because I'm just picking the players that are going to be there, is awesome. And getting Nussmeier with your first pick in the 4th round, I think is also awesome. I think he can push Geno to start this year. And I think that if nothing else, he takes a redshirt year basically in the NFL and can still build off of that for future seasons afterwards. You know, he is... I like him a good amount. I think that he played hurt, thanks to Brian Kelly, who also killed a kid. Look it up. But he was kind of put into a bad situation throughout the course of this season, and it resulted in some less than savory play, I'll say, as he kind of had to deal with throwing through pain every single down, basically. It resulted in some inaccurate throws. A lot of what he used to have good zip on the ball, he kind of lost that, and it was fairly confusing, I would say. But then you find out at the end of the season he was playing hurt the whole time, and everything starts to make a lot more sense. So, to me, I think he's going to go in the first 3 rounds. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a 2nd rounder. I wouldn't be shocked if he was a 3rd rounder. I would be more surprised if he gets to round 4 than not. Obviously, it gets tricky. We talked about this last year ad nauseum with Shedeur. When you get past the first couple rounds, you're not bringing in this guy to start. You're bringing him in to be a backup, more than likely. So is he going to fit that role? Is he going to fit into what you want him to do? I think the Jets clearly know that Geno is a bridge guy. I think that Geno knows he's a bridge guy. The biggest reason why you wouldn't want to do this is because you're planning on tanking for next year when the quarterback class is better. And I get that argument. But if Nussmeier gives you something that would be genuinely valuable, and in the 4th round I struggle to see how it isn't valuable at the quarterback position, you haven't invested too much, where if you're the 1st overall pick next year, there's nothing stopping you from taking another one. Also, frankly, if they have the number 1 pick next year, Aaron Glenn's probably gone, to be completely honest. So then you wind up with one of those, okay, you drafted a quarterback last year, but new regime comes in, they draft their quarterback of choice, all of a sudden, yeah, bing, bang, boom. Nussmeier probably has some value that you could probably trade him afterwards and get something back, even if it's a 6-7 swap or something like that, which is not ideal. I'm not saying that it is, but I think it's worth a stab for next year. What I do want to consider doing here is going edge. No, I really don't, because we got Bane. What do I want to do here? There is a point in this draft for the Jets where it is a little more difficult. I think that wide receiver could still be a need, but there isn't really one here that I love. I do like Kevin Coleman decently. Jeff Caldwell, I think, is fun. 6'5", big frame. I mean, running back behind Breece Hall, you have Braylon. You could always go for O-line depth. You could go for edge depth. Sure. I don't know that you need to, because you basically already have some good edge depth. I think DT might be on the table, but again, that's hard because Mozzie Smith you have T'Vondre Sweat you traded for, you picked up David Onyemata. It gets tricky, man. I mean, maybe another corner. They could use 2. Ephesians Prysock, another 6'4" corner from Washington. I'm struggling a little bit with the back half of this. Emmett Johnson to me is clearly the best player available in my opinion. I do like Tim Keenan a good amount. But again, he's probably going to play this David Onyemata type role. Maybe he could play the Harrison Phillips role. I guess that's what I'm going to draft him to do. Basically play B-gap. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to do. I think here I'm going to wind up going with another... Actually... I'm going to give them a center. I like Pat Coogan a ton. Honestly, there's a lot of centers in this draft class that I like. Pat Coogan just, to me, is a guy that you can build around on the offensive line. He feels, to me, somewhat like Zach Frazier a couple of years ago. It's not one-to-one. I think there's a lot of centers in this class that I like I talked about. But getting him at the very back end of round 5 here, I think is huge. And it allows you to move Josh Myers over to left guard, where he might wind up actually being better for this offensive line anyway. Or you could do the same thing with Coogan, frankly. But that's what I am leaning, and that's what I'm going to go with right now. We have 2 more picks left to make. Heidenreich is sticking out to me because I do think he is a dog. And Andrew Beck at this point, he's 29? He'll be 30 shortly. But I think he's fairly replaceable at this point. He's bounced around to a couple different teams. They brought him in last year as a free agent, on a 2-year deal, I think. If they want a fullback, I would rather have Heidenreich than Beck. I don't know that they really do. I also think that Max Bredesen could basically play fullback too. Frankly, I mean, he was as much a blocking tight end as you could possibly be. He had 3 targets last year. He really did play fullback, I feel like, more than tight end. Again, could go to another wide receiver, though. Let me... Which one do you want? It's not a lot of games played. Not a lot of yak. Only 2 drops, but only targeted 33 times, so... One drop targeted 26 times. It's the 6th round. I mean, we're just taking stabs at this point. It's actually the 7th round, sorry. Give me Noah Thomas. He seems like fun. I think Patrick Payton has some upside. He is young and relatively young. He needs some work. He's very much a developmental player, but at pick 242, what are you really getting out of it? You have Bane, who's locked in there. It's a different body type to what Bane is. He can play on the opposite side. Obviously, you still have Will McDonald under contract. I think he's only under contract for 1 or 2 more seasons. So it gives you something different there. I'll take a A- grade. Not too terrible. and we'll switch over to the Cardinals. So this one has Mendoza-Reese. I still feel like Maui Noah is going to go here. We've talked about other things. I do like Sonny Styles here. I think that's a good fit. For the Cardinals, they could use linebacker pretty bad. It would be pretty fun. Right tackle is a huge. They don't pick again until 34, which there's a chance that there's going to be a guy there at 34 that they could take. And then you go somewhere else here. I think value-wise, I would rather take a wide receiver next round, potentially, or a safety, cornerback. To me, those positions aren't ones that I would be comfortable going with at 3. But I am comfortable going with Maui Noah. So that's what I'm going to do. Wide receiver there, Denzel Boston, Colton Hood there as a cornerback. 2 guys that I think have a decently high chance of going in the first round. If we want to double down on tackle, we could go Caden Proctor. I'm not going to. I think I am going to go Colton Hood. I think that he should have gone in the first round. It gets tough. As we've talked about, this is not the best draft class, so who should and shouldn't go in the first round gets tougher to kind of discuss amongst that. But I'm going to go Colton Hood. If I would have known that Trayden Stukes was going to be here at the beginning of round 3, I probably wouldn't have done that. But, you know, it is what it is. There's nothing really that I can do about it. Linebacker still there, Josiah Trotter. I actually really kind of do like how this draft is starting to play out so far for them. Kyle Lewis is there, who I like a lot. Look at something else real quick. I think that they could still use edge, man. Steven Collins and I guess not really. Not really. I'd rather have Kyle Lewis. I think I would rather have Kyle Lewis than Trotter, personally. I'm going to give him Kyle Lewis. He's rangier, which I think that they need. Better in coverage. Jonah Coleman in round 4 for a team that has Algier as their starter. I know that Benson's still there. James Conner's still there. I know that I've talked about that they don't really need running back, but if you're picking up Algier, I don't know that you have a ton of confidence in Conner. I don't know that you have a ton of confidence in Benson. So I think it's at least worth talking about, even if I don't wind up doing it. The line they could use, they did pick up Walter Nolan and Darius Robinson, who I didn't think was that big. And then Roy Lopez. They could use a bigger DT. What's Proctor's size? 6'3", 280. That's probably smaller than I would prefer for them. I haven't given them a safety yet, but I don't know if there's going to be one here that I love. I lied. Bud Clark is here, and I do love Bud Clark. I think he may go before the 4th as well. But he didn't, so we're going to go with that. Cardinals, I think, have all their own picks from what it looks like, which is interesting. That's kind of a rarity nowadays. 7 picks. No comp picks. Just their raw picks. I know I've looked at this 6 times. Tim Keenan's probably not big enough for what I would want them to be. If I could give them another offensive lineman, which I wouldn't hate. Tip Ryman, I think, is fine. as their blocking tight end. I would consider Borakir here, whatever the hell his name is, from A&M. Borkirker. I'm going to give him Katron Allen, I think. Or Jaden Ott. No, I think I'm going to go Katron Allen. It gives them something different at running back that they just don't have right now. You basically have 3 power guys, basically, more or less. And Bam Knight and Corey Kiner don't really do enough for me to think that they couldn't use a different dimension to their running back room. I like both of the Penn State running backs. I don't know which one I prefer between the two. I live very close to where Singleton grew up, so I think I probably am biased in my preference of him. I think that Katron Allen may have better tape at Penn State, frankly. And as I talked about before, there's a lot of running backs where it's just kind of a pick your flavor type thing. Which one do you want to go with? Could change on any given day. I'm going to double down at center, I think, here and give him Pat Coogan again, unless there's somebody else that sticks out to me. No, there really isn't. I'm going to give him Pat Coogan. That's the second time we've taken him tonight in the first 3 teams. Hjalte Froholt doesn't really inspire much confidence in me. This whole offensive line, other than Sayamalu and Paris Johnson, I think are pretty weak. And I think it's upgradable anywhere that you look at it. So doing that doesn't bother me. I'm probably going to try to give him a DT here if I can find one that I like that just has size. Even if he doesn't wind up being a starter, it's something that you can add into the mix where maybe he will wind up having a chance at some point, even if he doesn't right away. It's depth. It's a position where you could use depth. I think, is Cleveland bigger? 6'4", but only 315. Jackie Marshall. Maybe I'm not, just because I'm not going to be able to find a guy that I think has enough size to do it. I'm not going to force the pick either. Okay, let me look somewhere else. Wide receiver, I mean, you're competing with Kendrick Bourne and Michael Wilson, and I don't think that those guys are, like, far and away elite threats. Xavion Thomas, what can I learn about him? I have not watched any tape on Xavion Thomas, I can tell you that. Looks fine. The last 3 seasons. Kendrick Law doesn't drop anything. Has a 100% contested catch rate. 64 targets. Kind of like that. Sure. Kendrick Law, you are a Cardinal. And they give me a B-. Bottom 27% of drafts. C'est la vie. I'm not really upset about it. I like the guys that I want. I know that they think that I drafted higher on these guys than I should have. I don't like the PFF board. I don't like PFF at all. It's also partially why I'm doing this exercise as well. Because it does help me show off a little bit that I think PFF is inept. I am going... Holy shit, Jeremiah Love won it too. What the fuck are we doing? Okay. Yeah, I mean, give me Bane, because Olu Oladejo, I think, is replaceable. I think he played fine, but if Ruben Bane is there, I'll take that. Cornerback, they could upgrade. Perfect. Colton Hood, staying in the state, Tennessee. could go linebacker, which again is going to wind up with me in the same situation that we were looking at last time. After losing T'Vondre Sweat, they did replace him somewhat with John Franklin Myers. I think that John Franklin Myers... I guess I probably can't really do much there. Is there a safety here? Kamari Ramsey. That feels like a... We've talked about this before, but that feels like a Titans kind of guy. They need a tight end decently bad. I don't think Gunnar Helm is really moves the needle, and I like Michael Trigg a good amount. He's a big guy. He's not much of a blocker, but I think he's a decent receiving threat. Let me see if there's another one that'll look better. Not in this range. I'm going to pull the trigger on that, taking tight end back-to-back years in the 4th round, but other than bringing in Daniel Bellinger to compete, you don't really have a ton there. I still think that wide receiver's on the table, too, by the way. I know I haven't talked about that yet with them, but that's just kind of been the way that the board has fallen, starting with 3 defensive guys for a defensive coach. Followed up there, Emmett Johnson is staring me in the face right now. I think that he's a special talent in a position that isn't super strong in this draft class. It's not weak, but it's not super strong. So yeah, that's where I'm going to go on that one. They pick 2 picks apart here, which means that we missed out on, let's see, Torian York, of course, who I would consider, because I could still use linebacker, but I'm sure that there isn't. I don't hate Elam's Orr. I think that there's a chance I could get him with this next pick. Maybe. It's a risk, but it's one that I'm willing to take. They could go interior offensive line for sure. Especially a center. Is there a center here that I like? I'm not going to do Pat Coogan again, even though I do like him. I don't know anything about Jaeger Burton. I'm going to hold off for now. I'm going to wind up giving him Pat Coogan later. I don't know why. I'm pretending like it's not going to happen. We gave him Bane. They really don't need tackle. I'm going to give him Kevin Coleman in the 5th and Pat Coogan in the 2nd. Oh shit, I should have looked at that linebacker. Missed out on it. I like Zane Durant a lot. I still think that having depth there is never a bad thing in the 6th round. What are you really missing out on? And then give me Jaden Canaday as an upside thing that maybe he starts for you, maybe he's a special teamer, but he's there.
Yeah.
Let's see what that gets us. A B, bottom 31%. Sweet. Love that for me. And that's because of the Kamari Ramsey pick. I didn't think they were going to love it. It is what it is. I don't really care. Sorry. Not sorry. Sonny Styles is here, as is Ruben Bain. They're not going to go edge, though. It's between Mawanoa, Styles, and Downs to me. Or Tate. I'm going to give him Styles. He doesn't always make it here. And I like that slot for them a lot. And, oh my word, that sets them up to take Denzel Boston in the 2nd round, who should probably be a first rounder. But again, when you're talking about guys that should be a first rounder in a weird class, as we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, you know, who is and isn't a first rounder. There's only 32 that can be. And you're going to wind up talking yourself in and out of situations where you like a guy but not enough and all of that. I still feel like cornerback is a need for them, man. Now that Malik Muhammad is who I would want to give him. They did bring in Greg Newsome. Okay, that's fair. Banks has just been bad. Safety I could still use. I'm going to give him Bud Clark. I like that. Maybe. Maybe. Hello? I still like Isaiah World. He's a big boy, which is a little scary, I guess, for them. Trey Zoom took some snaps at center this year. Round 5, we're at taking a complimentary running back. I don't hate it. Again, Katron Allen would complement what you have in Scat, I think, pretty well. Tracy still kind of does too. We probably don't need to do that. Probably don't need another wide receiver. I wouldn't hate a DT. If there's one here that I like. Durant's probably a little early. Based off of ADP, but how much does ADP matter? I might like Durant better than these two guys to begin with, so who cares? Not me. I do think that they could take 2 linebackers, and I wouldn't be that upset about it. Torian York sitting here. It does still kind of stick out to me. He's a little bit smaller. But as a rotational guy, I don't hate that. Armage. Sure. 2 picks back to back here in the 6th round to wrap it up. And I think I'm going to give him Skylar Gill-Howard. I don't know why he's this low, honestly. I'm not going to keep avoiding it just for the sake of avoiding it. Let's see if there's a quarterback here with just ridiculous. Yeah, like Jalen Daniels, Taylon Green, Cole Payton, any of those guys really. I'm gonna give him Taylon Green. I just think that Harbaugh might still want to keep a athletic type quarterback on roster. I could see that being the case. Obviously, I don't know for sure that that's going to be the case, but and they gave me an F for that pick. I don't really care. B plus draft for them. Again, I mean, you're looking at this is the last pick in the draft. He probably gets drafted by somebody. If I had to guess, maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but. Now here comes the Browns, so I need to give 2 right tackles in the first round, I think. Arvell Reese is still here. How do I not? Carnell Tate is the how do I not, I think. Or Maui Noah. But, I mean, Alex Wright. Linebacker, they're solid. I don't think that they're elite. Schlesinger is obviously very good. But, I mean, Arvell Reese, if he's not fully developed as a pass rusher, guess what? Being opposite of Myles Garrett's not going to hurt. There's zero shot in my mind that Vega gets to this pick, but if he's here, I have a hard time not picking him. And then going tackle with this one, if there's one here that I like, which it doesn't look like there is. Not enough, anyway. But Ty Simpson's here, so that's what I'm going to do. And let me grab him something. Kiernan? Sure. I mean, it's a lot of BPA here, but it's also all things that are making sense to me. Haven't given him wide receiver yet. I think Stribling is pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I like that fit for him. Emmett Johnson's going to be tough for me not to take, I think. Did I give him a cornerback yet? No, I didn't. I don't know if there's going to be one that I like enough. I like Price Hawk. Let's throw that at him. They pick again 3 picks later. Could go safety. Go DT too. Tim Keenan is staring me in the face. Yeah, I'll do that. Give me Macobia. And then give me Eric Gentry, just a freak. 6'6", 225. The problem is he going to be able to stay healthy? That thin at that height is going to probably be a problem. But that's what we're going to lock in. An A- draft. Top 51% of Browns drafts. I just got a 2-day streak. Don't really know how that happened. Washington at 7. Now the weird thing is, I genuinely think that Jeremiah Webb is going at this pick. Obviously, I can't do that because he's gone. So, I mean, I have to play the cards that are dealt to me. I can't undo a pick that I didn't make. I mean, I could reset the draft until he falls, but where's the fun in that? I still think edge could be a need, and if David Bailey is there, I would at least be considering it. Chason, Omenihu, Owe. I do like wide receiver here, though. I'm going to give him Carnell Tate. They don't have a second, which I forgot about. Mike Washington would be also fun, but I'm going to try to do this. I guess I kind of have to, though. They could wind up taking a wide receiver here, so that's just what I'm going to pretend like it was flipped and they took Love early, I guess. But Darrell Jackson is also fun for them. They have 7 picks, but they're very much skewed later in the draft. This is not going to be a lot of fun if you are a Commanders fan. I'm just going to point that out. They've already got wide receiver. Let me give him Singleton. Switch it up. Is there a safety here that I like enough? I do like Wisniewski enough. Yeah, let me do that. I still think they could use tight end behind Chig. They could use linebacker still to me. They could use another wide receiver. They use 2 safeties. Probably. I'm going to get rid of Kobe up. Yeah, listen, this is a weird exercise because we're just starting to fall into a rotation of generally the same guys that I like almost every time. And I feel like it's not necessarily great content. I'm going to give him Delp. I'm going to draft for the Broncos, the Eagles, and the Steelers, and I think I'm going to call it a night. I am having fun, but it's just not super entertaining, I don't think, for me, in terms of my feedback on it or anything like that. I actually think I'm going to switch over and go live on Twitch after this for a little bit, potentially. If Tyson's there, man, or Cooper, I'm taking Tyson for the upside. I've given him Cooper a whole bunch. It's something different. Jennings Dunker, you're playing left guard, buddy. Kyle Lewis, I would love to keep in Pittsburgh. Give me Nussey in the 3rd. Give me Corleone. Give me Cage Casey. Give me Bryce, I think, right? I think he was kind of a dog. I already took it. Hey, yeah. Give me Emmett. Give me Emmett Johnson. We still have 5 more picks to go. Give me Ephesians. Give me Gil Howard. Give me 3 7ths. Back to back to back, basically. Give me Gentry. I like him. I don't care. He's going to be Madden legend for me. Vincent Anthony is not great. Give me the next Toledo Sud at cornerback. Sure. Bing. And we'll wrap it up with Taylor Green, I think. Yeah, fine. Definitely very Mike McCarthy type of player. Obviously always likes the very athletic, non-accurate quarterbacks. B, bottom 29% of drafts. Nice. Love it. We'll go Eagles next. Falk would be awesome for them, in my opinion. Brazil would be fun for them. If I hadn't given Falk, I would give him Derek Moore here, for sure. For sure. But I did. So, Kamari Ramsey, welcome. Come on down. Tight end, man. I know it's not listed as a need, but Michael Drake would be fun in that offense. Gonna give him Brian Parker. Could they go running back here? Tank Bigsby doesn't really do anything for me. Will Shipley doesn't really do anything for me. So yeah, I think so. Damian Pierce definitely doesn't do anything for me. Emmett Johnson, welcome to the Birds. They got 3 picks left. Alabama DT sounds about right. Let me go. Is there a Georgia player here? No, I don't think so. Tough. Jalen Stroman. And Skylar Gill Howard. Let me see the C minus. B, top 55% of Eagles mock drafts. Nice. Love that for me. Let's go with the Broncos now to close this thing out. Don't pick until the second. And I don't love these options for them. I do think that the only position on our offensive line that is up for debate is left guard, but like they just signed Alex Palczewski or whatever the hell his name is, I think, to an extension. Tight end they could use, but there isn't one here that I love. Give me Halton to replace JFM. I got back-to-back picks here, very close proximity. And we're going to take Jonah Coleman and hopefully Michael Trigg. Beautiful. That's a pretty fun start so far, if I do say so myself. There's not a linebacker that I love here. I don't like Aiden Fisher that much. He's fine. Trey Moore, same deal. Maybe Owen Heineke. It's not super early for me, and Peyton likes getting his guys. Peyton and Peyton. So I can see it happening. Cole Peyton, speaking of Peyton. Peyton. I would like to throw a wide receiver in there. Do like Pena a decent amount. Yeah, I'm good. I'll give him Trevor Pena. They like their Penn State wide receivers, you know? And one last pick to send us off to war. Patrick Peyton. Come on down. Another Peyton for him. But, okay. That's going to wrap it up here. Something different this week. Like I said a little bit. We went through and did first 7 picks. Their full mocks. And then did some other picks from there. Wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be, honestly. But... that's how things go. Maybe if I had used Crush's big board, it would have been more fun. Let me do one more. Steelers, Eagles, and Broncos. One time for the one time. Steelers have their shot at Emmanuel Warren. I wouldn't hate that. Yeah, why not? Eagles get Sadiq would be fun, but I think I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to give him Blake Miller. Steelers up next. I already gave them McNeil Warren. Chris Bell would be awesome. I love Jake Golday too, though. Yeah, I'm doing. I'm going to give the Birds AJ Halsey, I think. Yeah. Golday almost got to the Broncos. Sorry, Crush. I will give them Kyle Lewis because I think that they fit what they need more. Let me go Fields, I think. Yeah. Steelers back up. I'm going to give him Coleman. And Hussey. And the Birds are going to snag Overton. Maybe. Yeah, why not? Steelers again. Did I get my cornerback? No. Is there one here that I like enough? Probably Willie. I do like Canada a lot though too. I also like that we're like 3 weeks from the draft, and PFF doesn't even have like this kind of stuff for all the players yet. I'll take Alric, sure, why not? Skylar Gill Howard, you're a Bronco. So is Stribling. And the Birds are going to add... I don't know, man. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Birds are going to add Trig. Steelers get an Iowa offensive lineman named Bo. Sign me up. Sign me up. Steelers get Caleb Proctor too. I like that. Xavier Harris. Sure. K-Tron for the Birds. Give me Heidenreich. Sure, why not? Broncos get Wisniewski. Eagles get Taylor Green, another athletic quarterback. And they wrap up their draft with BJ Edgecombe the second. Payne. Steelers go for Styles. Durant. And let's throw another wide receiver in the mix. Noah Thomas. Or Colby Young. Give me Colby, why not? And then one more again. Forgot that they had another one. Yeah, sure, both. 3 Georgia wide receivers / tight ends that add up to 6'5", 6'4", and 6'6", or 6'7". I'll take that. Luke Altmaier, you can go be the backup to Bosifer. So can you, Ethan. And so can you, Cade. Welcome to the Broncos' 7th round quarterback class. Guess they can't grade when you do. Oh, grades are not available for drafts with a custom big board. Noted. Alright. Well, that's going to do it. Just over an hour in there. We will be back, not next week, like I said, but the following with our final mock drafts. We'll probably potentially try to do some extra content there. We might go live Thursday and Friday. but we'll see what happens. So, thank you for being here. Appreciate